Here we are. We're live. And I'm just waiting for us to come. Hopefully, it says we're live. Hopefully, you guys can see us.
Guess who it is?
Guess who it is, you guys? Who is it? Do you know?
It's
Anybody?
Laura LaFleur, Flower Dragon.
We have Flower Dragon here with us.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, Lee got it. It's Laura. Welcome, Laura. Welcome to the members live stream. And you have been such a integral part of the chats for a while. I think everybody knows your name. And it's so nice. Finally, everybody gets to see you. We were able to, Philip and I were able to Zoom with you the other night and get to meet you. Of course, we met you in the whole course, but it was
Yeah,
so nice.
about a year ago.
Yeah, and it was nice just to talk to you personally. And you guys are in for a treat because Laura told us so many interesting things, so many themes related to the Neogenian. It's going to be great. Laura's going to just take over. We're just going to hopefully draw some more of that history of yours out for everybody. And I think one of the things that I found really interesting that you talked about were two experiences from college that taught you good things about yourself. Do you want to relate those?
Yeah. First, I got to say, I absolutely love all three of you. I love
Aw, thank you.
Thank
you
you.
guys, all three of you. You don't know the parts you have played in my life. And Morg, all four of you have played. I didn't say this when I was talking to you before, but before I started watching Morg, now I'm going to get all teary eyed because that's what I do. Before I started watching Morg's videos and before I began finding out about Hyperionism and then Neogenianism and all of this, I was kind of an old lady just kind of waiting to die, like most of the people I live around in this senior citizen apartment building.
Oh,
It was just, I have my grandkids, I have my daughter, they have their lives, and I'm just kind of in the background, and without a lot of purpose. And I wasn't totally depressed. I take antidepressants for that, but I am a whole different person than I was a couple years ago because
that's
of all
amazing.
of you and because of Morg. I am so excited about absolutely everything about life and about me and about everybody and Neogenians. I love them all. So, okay, so I had to get that out of the way.
That's
Um,
lovely.
oh, my phone's on emergency call. Looks like I bumped it. I'm going to put it away so I won't even. Okay. So, okay. So, I will tell everybody just a little bit real quick. By the way, some of you saw me with real purple hair, and it's almost all grown out now, and I'm letting it grow. It used to be short and very vibrant purple, so you might
Mm-hmm.
have remembered pictures of that. But anyway, so I grew up being raised by my grandparents, who were born in 1906 and 1910. So they were a whole different generation, like behind me. So, and I was raised very old fashioned. I was raised they were very racist. Their whole families were very racist. Um, and very against anything that had to do with uh, anything different than what they were, basically. So, but from a very young age, I was thinking about this morning, from as far back as I can remember, I don't remember a time when I didn't feel like there should be a better world and that an ideal world where people could get along. And what was all this to do about color and race and all that? I felt like there shouldn't be any boundaries on the earth. Why do we even have countries? That's what I felt from a tiny kid. So, but I also grew up being told or being believing and learning from my grandparents, from my peers, from society, that my thoughts didn't matter. Number one, I was a girl being raised at a time when girls don't do that. Girls get married and have children. Men are smart, all that kind of stuff. So you know that drill. And we still got a lot of that. But anyway, I grew up thinking that I wasn't very smart. I grew up thinking that because I had some of the thoughts I did, I learned not to share them with people because that's just weird, or that's just silly. That's stupid. So I got through high school. I sucked at math. I don't know if Ren Fairy's in the chat right now, but she can attest to the fact that her and I've had some discussions about math. She's great at it. I suck at it and always have. And I was good at English, and I was good at art and history. I mean, I'm sorry, I was good at art. I was good at drafting. I was good at the things that I liked. And I thought that was because they were what we called Mickey Mouse courses. They were easy to get through. I didn't know there were people that were flunking them. So by the time I got out of high school, I didn't want to ever go to school again because I thought I was too stupid. My family was too poor. It was too hard. I had horses. I'll train horses for the rest of my life. And then, of course, romance came along and all that. But anyway, so when I was in my 30s, where do I start from? Let's see. I was in my 30s. Yeah. And I had a Christian background in that I went to different churches as a kid, just because when you're in the 50s and 60s and you're a kid, you're bored and there's not much to do but go to church with your friends and go play in the streets and whatever. And watch cartoons and the old folk shows that they like to watch. So I had an idea of Christianity and church and all that. And I was kind of in and out of churches throughout my life. And skip ahead to my 30s, I was going to a little church down in Oregon, where I grew up in Oregon, actually. But I was going to a little church that had about a dozen people in it, and maybe more. And by that time, I'd been a devoted Christian for quite some years. And I had decided I was obsessed. I was going to be the best Christian ever, not because I wanted to be better than anybody, but because I just thought it was the best thing ever. It kind of saved my life in a way at a time when I needed something to hold on to. So I was in a bad marriage and it wasn't good. And Christianity gave me a place to go on Sundays and other days sometimes, and to be a part of something bigger than me. And so then I began to really believe everything the Bible said, supposedly, and everything that I was taught. And I began to throw myself into it wholeheartedly. And I went into it feet first, or head first. I don't know what the saying is, but I did everything. I sang in the choirs. I sang solos. I sang with groups. I cleaned the toilets. I swept the floors. I went to, and then there came a time when my pastor in Oregon said, you really apply yourself to all of this, and you're really good. Maybe you should think about going up to Washington State and going to so-and-so's church, because they have a Bible college in their church, and you could go to Bible college. And so I thought, okay, so I got really deeply involved, came up here to Washington, where I live now. And I went to Bible college for 2 years, and I got my associate of theology degree. But by that time, I had been an assistant to a couple of different pastors, actually, and I'd been so involved in things. And for some reason, they trusted me, and they told me things they didn't tell everybody. And they told me things they probably shouldn't have. And they told me things they probably might have wished they hadn't.
You kind of called it grooming.
I was being groomed because they wanted me to be an evangelist. I wanted to be a preacher, but they wanted me to be an evangelist. Not much difference, except that a preacher pastor has a church. An evangelist goes out to all of them.
And that's what I think I asked you the other night. I asked if you went to the Christian college for your own education, or to actually be a preacher.
Well, I did it for my own education, but then they began to groom me because they saw that, for one thing, I learned that I had a brain after all. There were people flunking Bible college classes, and I thought Bible college was easy because I'd always apply whatever I applied myself to, I could do. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's a lot of people I know that are out there probably watching this, or a few at least, even if there's only one. We all have so much more potential than we allow ourselves to use. I didn't think I was smart, and all of a sudden other people are failing things that I'm excelling at, and I thought, but I'm nothing special, and I wasn't. It was just that I was applying myself, and I began to believe in myself. So then they were started to grooming me, but I began, because they were grooming me, they were including me in their circle, and by they I mean people in leadership and
Positions of power.
Yes, exactly. Ministers, pastors, and so and evangelists, whatever, whoever was around, and they started including me in their circles, and I began to learn some things that really not just bothered me, pissed me off, and showed me how deluded so many of us were. And I'm gonna stop for a second and say there are, and I think I mentioned this to you guys, there's such a lot of Christians out there who absolutely have the best hearts and want to help people.
Yeah.
And they really truly believe that they've been taught, and they truly believe, because they don't know any better, that Jesus died for them. The Old Testament, the Hebrews in the Old Testament, their beliefs and their teachings were that you had to have a sacrifice, which you were just talking about sacrifices, and I love that it fits together.
I know.
They had to have sacrifices to forgive people for their sins, and they would have sacrificial lambs and goats and things, and their blood would be spread places and all this, and that was the sacrifice for their sins, and then they could go on and they'd still be pleasing to God and all that. Well, then when the New Testament starts with Jesus being born, and that Jesus was the Jews looked forward to a savior who was going to come, a Messiah who was going to come and save them once and for all. They didn't recognize, most of them didn't recognize Jesus as that.
Well, that's not what they were expecting. They wanted
No.
they wanted a warrior. They wanted
Right.
someone who was going to fight for them, not someone who was going to say turn the other cheek. That was not.
Oh, right. They wanted, yeah, you're exactly right, Susan. So Jesus came along and he became supposedly the ultimate sacrifice, so that we would never again have to kill anything or sacrifice anything. All we would have to do is recognize him as the sacrifice, and we had to acknowledge that, and then we had to ask him into our hearts and into our lives. If we did that, we were saved forever. And different churches, different little sects and churches have their different ideas about it, but Christianity basically agrees on the fact that if that once you're saved, and you can be a good Christian or a bad Christian, but you're going to go to heaven. There's heaven and hell, and you're going to go to heaven someday, and it's going to be glorious and wonderful, and no more pain, no more sickness, and all of that. And then if you don't accept Jesus and his sacrifice, then you're going to go to hell, and you're going to suffer horrible, horrible things. And I won't even go into some of those things. I had a dream one time. I took medication that a doctor gave me one time for sinuses. And he said, now, there is one side effect to this. It will give you nightmares, and they will be horrible nightmares. I mean, terrible. Well, I took them, and I took the medicine one day, got me over my sinuses, but I had the worst 2 dreams for 2 nights in a row. I had the worst dreams I'd ever had in my life, and one of them had to do with hell, and it scared the hell out of me. It was horrible.
Wow.
And those are the kind of, it's drug induced. I don't know what that was. It might have been.
That's crazy that it actually.
It was a sinus medication.
Predict that it's going to be a terrible dream. I mean, that's weird.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, that's weird. I don't remember what it was, and I don't care, but I never wanted to take it again. I threw it away.
Oh,
But
wow.
Anyway, back to that whole idea of heaven and hell. And so Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. Let's see, where was I at with that?
So,
Well, you
well,
can
you
go
were
to heaven or hell.
you were leading up to
Oh yeah,
disillusionment.
right. So I became very disillusioned. And another thing that happened, I'm going to go back for a second. And I'm trying to do this as fast as I can because I know we got a lot of time. Trying to stay out of the rabbit trails.
It's okay.
So going back, so I went to Bible college for a couple of years, and I learned I wasn't stupid. That was the first time I really felt like I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, it was a revelation to me. It was like an aha moment, an epiphany. So then, and I thought it was God showing me, of course, which it was because it was my subconscious showing me.
Yeah.
So, so after that, I was working in a Bible bookstore for 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, I guess. Oh, I skipped something. I'll go back to it later if we have time. So I was working in a Bible bookstore for 3 years, which was an experience in itself. And there's funny stories about that. But that's a whole nother subject.
Maybe next time you can come and tell us some of those stories.
Because they're funny. Some of them are hilarious and some of them are kind of sad. And some of them will make people mad.
I would love for you to do that. But I have things I know that I want you to get to tonight. So
I was working there. I quit that job and I went to college at a little local community college. Took 2 years of graphic design and found out again that I was smarter than I thought I was. And I was doing pretty well at that. Now, this was before computers. Computers were just coming into the design business because this was in the very late 80s, early 90s. And the local college here wasn't funding them, computers, for that. They were funding them for business classes. Anyway, so I found out again that I wasn't so dumb. And where should I go?
So
which direction? I'm trying to figure which direction to go.
I was going to say, I think
it's all in my head till the last stream. And the last stream is still going around.
That's all right. I was going to say, I think the beautiful part of you realizing that you weren't stupid in college was, if I am not getting this wrong, I think that was the start of you kind of thinking about your own thoughts. And that leads me to my question that I gave you the other night, is what kind of led you to move away from Christianity after you kind of went through that disillusionment? Do you want to kind of tell everybody about how you got away from Christianity to where you're at now?
There were red flags all along because there were things that would come up and I would think, that doesn't sound quite right. And sometimes in an atmosphere like a Bible study or something where we were allowed to speak up, well, come at me if you want to. It's my cat. I would speak up and I would say, well, oops, wait a minute. I just lost the whole thing.
You're still with us.
We can still see you.
Oh, well, I don't see you. The whole Zoom thing is just...
It's okay. Your camera's still on.
Okay, well, then I'm just going to keep on carrying on. I can't see you because it went back to the Zoom.
That's okay.
Okay, long as we're good. So the...
leaving Christianity.
You were talking about the red flags.
Okay, yes, being disillusioned and all that. So I would come up with things, and that somebody would say something like, "Well, this scripture means this and only this," but I would read it, and it would seem to say the exact opposite to me, and I would say, "Well, but can't it mean this?" And they'd say, "No, no, no. Trust us. We know." And so it was always a trust us thing. Trust God and trust us because we've studied it and we're the ones who know and we get to talk to God, that type of thing. And so you can pray and talk to God, but God's going to talk to us and tell us what to tell you. So anyhow.
Wow.
Red flags.
Yeah. So I always had those in the back of my mind, but I really wanted to believe it was all true. And I wanted to be a part of something. And I didn't want to be the one to... I don't want to be the black sheep. I was the black sheep of my family for being a Christian. Not that anybody knew better, but my family I was very preachy because I was one of those in-your-face Christians. Because if you believe that if you don't tell somebody about Jesus and help them get quote unquote saved from their sins, that they're going to go to hell and it's going to be eternity forever. And they're going to suffer horrible, horrible things. And there's going to be burning fire and even worse. Then why would you, if you cared about people at all, why would you not want to tell them? So I was telling everybody that I could.
Even if they didn't want to hear it.
Yes. I was kind of a bagasaurus is what I like to call it. A Christian bagasaurus. And so, and I tried not to be obnoxious and I tried to be nice about it, but I really wanted, and I did love people. I had a heart for people. And a lot of Christians, that's where they're at. They have a heart for people and they really want to help. And they really don't understand some of the back stuff, the backstories behind what preachers say behind the backs of people. Like I was told when I was being groomed, well, sometimes you have to lie to your people because that's just the way it is. I can tell you a really short, quick story that I didn't tell you guys, but I will tell it. That a friend of mine came to me one time, and she had been a prostitute, and she had become a Christian, and she was trying to be a good Christian, and she was doing well, and she started dating a guy in the church, and he started pressuring her for sex, and she felt like, well, if I'm going to be a good Christian, I'm not going to do this. So she said no, and she said no, and she went and talked to the pastor about it, female pastor, and said, I don't know what to do, and she said, well, she said, I'm going to quit dating him because he's pressuring me for it, and I'm just not going to go there. And the pastor said to her, well, don't, she told me this. Now, the woman told me this. She said, she told me not to quit dating him because he brings quite a bit of money into the church. And so if I quit dating him, he'll go somewhere else. And she didn't want to do that. So I kept dating him. And I ended up giving in and having sex with him. And now I feel guilty. And now I feel bad because I didn't want to be that kind of person. And so I went to the pastor because I had a rapport with the pastor. And because I'm not the kind of person to sit around and go, oh, you poor thing. I'm going to the source and finding out. So I went to the pastor and I asked her, I said, did you say that to her? And she goes, well, yes. And I said, well, you know what happened? And I told her, and she was just unfazed. So that was one little incident out of a lot of different
I wouldn't
things.
call that little. You should have seen Jan's eyes.
I don't know what happened.
So it was kind of a building up of things that eventually you left Christianity. And then how did you find Morg and, our movement?
Oh, Morg, that's kind of a funny story because what happened, okay, I left Christianity. When I walked away from it, I said, F you, God, F your son Jesus, F the whole thing, F Christianity. Technical support on Zoom is trying to get me. Okay.
Yeah, you're lagging a little bit.
Okay, well, I don't know what to hit to try to make
No, you're
better.
back.
I'm afraid I will.
Yeah.
I'm afraid
it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Just
completely. So, okay.
Yeah.
So, oh, shoot.
How you found Morg in the movement?
Morg, but before that was for a second there was, okay, well, I don't know. Morg. So Morg, one of Morg's videos kept coming up on my live stream. I mean, on my feed on YouTube. And it was one of the very old ones where he had the star makeup, kind of, the black makeup.
Yeah, early.
And he was very theatrical. And he sounded to me like he was from another planet. And I thought, well, first of all, I wasn't going to watch it because it just looked suspicious to me. I don't remember the title. I don't remember the subject. All I remember is what he looked like and sounded like, kind of. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to watch that. Well, I finally gave in and watched it so it would quit coming up on my feed. And I thought, oh, this guy's out to lunch. So then another one started coming up on my feed. I'm, okay, if I watch this one, it'll disappear.
Yeah, no, it's not how it works.
I know, I didn't understand that then. Yeah. This was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand how the algorithms work. So I thought, I'll watch this one and then it'll disappear. Well, I watched it and it was like, wait a minute. This guy's making a lot of sense. And he's a little different in this one. And So I started watching him, and then I honestly thought, there's got to be something wrong with this. It's got to be a cult or something. This can't be right. And because I had the background with Christianity and everything and that kind of bad experiences, I wasn't about to fall for something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started watching him all the time and I started really listening. And I took the whole course, which was wonderful for me. Part of the reason I took the whole course was I'm going to really see what this stuff is what's going on in this. This is where I'll find out the real stuff. Well, I found out the real stuff and it just got better and better. And here I am. And I am so glad to be Neo-Genian that I can't even tell you. And I would love to go spread the news to my neighbors like I used to do with Christianity, but I know that not everybody's going to listen. And I know that, well, one thing, the pressure is off because I don't have to worry about them going to hell if I don't get them saved.
Right.
Where some of them are worried about, I'm going to go to hell and they're going to feel guilty for it if they don't get me saved before I die.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird thing that goes on there.
We are already, I know, going to have to bring you back because there's much more that we want to hear from you. But I want you to say one more. I know it's a short story. I want you to talk about that scapular medal thing, just because I want people to hear what a scapular medal is.
I was Catholic for about 4 years at a fairly just coming out of my teens and into my early 20s. I was by choice, I decided to become Catholic. Another long story back. So I had a scapular medal that a priest had given me, and for having gone through all the classes and become a Catholic and all that. And it was just a little round medal, had a picture of Jesus on it, engraved on it. And I wore it all the time. And one time, a Dominican monk came to the church, and he had special powers of being able to bless things because of his status in monkdom as a Dominican monk. And so he waved his hands and said a prayer or something, and we all had to hold up what we wanted him to bless. And for some, it was a crucifix, some it was rosary beads, whatever. And I had my little scapular medal. The story was then that because my scapular medal had that special blessing, if I was driving down the road, this was what they told me. Say you're driving down the road and you see a car accident and somebody's laying beside the road dying, and they don't know Jesus. They don't know. I mean, in the Catholic Church, it's a little different anyway. But anyhow, they're not Catholic. They're not anything. If you can get them to kiss this scapular medal, they will go straight to heaven when they die. Now, even Catholics don't usually go straight to heaven when they die. They have to go to purgatory and work their way on up into heaven. They're not going to go to hell, but that might take them a while to get to heaven. So, but if somebody would kiss it, no matter who they were, no matter whether they believed anything or not, no matter if they said, forgive me, they would go straight to heaven.
X-Men power position, Laura. Yeah. You had it.
And the church, and not just the Catholic Church, but the churches anoint their doorways with oils. And they tell you to go home and anoint your doorway with oils to keep evil out. They burn candles. They burn incense.
Orpy said very ritualistic.
Yeah, very ritualistic. They actually believe that at the Eucharist, the blood or the wine and the bread turn into the body of Christ, and you are actually swallowing the body of Christ and the blood.
I want you to come back on and just to talk about the cannibalistic nature of that, which I have never understood. But it
doesn't taste like blood, and it doesn't taste like bread and wine.
And
so
grape juice. It's just I just when I found that out about you've got the magic power now. It's crazy to me, just that the meaning behind that. It doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter. You've got the special gift. It's like being in a video game and having that spell. I've got this thing, special thing.
Man, what was that? was it He-Man to the power of Grayskull?
Yeah, something like that. Yes,
My daughter
exactly.
liked that when she was.
I was just thinking something like that. It's just crazy. Okay, everybody, if you have enjoyed listening to Laura talk about all sorts of Neo-Genian related themes and want Laura to come back, please put whatever emoji of choice, whatever your favorite one is, please put it in the comments. We have enjoyed having you on. It's been fun. I already can tell you. Yeah, here come some emojis.
See, I don't have it down in front.
It doesn't matter. Oh, Becca said, please come back, Laura. You're getting quokkas. You're getting that little eye thing. You're getting you're getting lots and lots of stuff. You're getting the Rubik's Cube, and we need a new emoji. I want a symbol. Oh, you're getting blue dragons. Blue dragons.
Dragons.
If you don't know, I will always say, if you're new, blue dragons represent a dear, dear friend who would be Neo-Genian if she were still here with us. She started the movement and has passed on to the next realm of relocalization, getting lots of the blue dragons for you too. So we will definitely be having you back, Laura. It's been a pleasure. It makes the member streams. Yes, Scorpio, I know you remember. It makes the member streams that much more fun and interesting to meet members of the community. We have somebody else who has expressed interest and who I have reached out to and who has said yes.
And we'll keep that a surprise.
We're keeping it a surprise, but it's somebody who needs a little extra time because they're busy right now, and that will be happening in the future. Anybody else who
really, we have to give credit to Mark for suggesting that we have people on. That was
yeah. Mark started this with this suggestion, and speaking of that, Mark, I owe you an email, a message too, because I was wondering if you want to. It's been a while since we've had you on a public stream, and Philip is off next week. I don't know whether if you guys are interested in another public stream next Saturday. I think my calendar is open. Philip is working. Jan, if you're around and want to be on, and if Mark wants to come on and talk, that would be fun. We're also going to have Lee back because I know everybody loved listening to Lee. Please message me if anybody else wants to do. No pressure. It's for the members stream, which, Laura, you can agree this was not scary, right? Being on a members stream.
You guys made it so easy and so much fun and took any pressure off that I might have felt. I thought I was going to have to prepare notes and everything. And you guys were just like, nah.
Nope. It's community. It's getting to meet the community, and it was a fabulous idea. Mark said that next Saturday could work for him, which is wonderful. So Jan, you and me and Mark, we could plan that. I mean, we're flexible. If something comes up and we can't do it, that's why you guys should definitely be following the Facebook page, because that's where I post stuff when I get the stream going, or if I talk about whether we're doing a stream or not. That's where you look. And then I usually share it to my personal page, but I don't do much on my own personal page.
And somebody said something went through. Cassidy had supporters member for 6 months. Thank you, Cassidy, for being a waveform for 6 months. And Cassidy said, thank you, Laura, for being an awesome friend. You're peachy keen. Of course, mods are awesome too. The rest of the community with the eyes and the heart. And just wanted to say that. Carry on.
Aw, Cassidy, that's so sweet.
Thank you, everybody, for supporting.
I feel like I know so many people just because of interacting with them in the chat during live streams and stuff. I feel like I know so many of you, and yet we hardly know each other, but we feel like a family. And
we meet every week. We're meeting in Morg's live streams and Jan's live streams, and our live streams when we do them, and I know Philip and I are working on videos as well, like actual videos. It's just easier with our schedules to put live streams together, and I kind of like them in a way. I know, I mean, I used to absolutely hate it because I was so scared, but you guys are so
And
fantastic.
I know it's been a little while since our last scripted video, but we are working on them. I have at least 2 scripts that are not quite completed but are written, and Susan's working on one, so hopefully
Yeah.
we can put some stuff out for you soon. But thank you for being patient with us.
Yeah, it's just like pulling teeth for me. I wrote so much when I was younger, and I loathe it now. I much prefer editing than actually writing, so it's just going slowly, but it will happen. It will happen. And in the meantime, the community is so wonderful that live streams are not nearly as daunting as they were. And thank you for coming and spending the night with us. Hopefully next Saturday, put it on your calendar. Check the Facebook page. I just need to coordinate with Mark and Jan, and we'll find something that we want to talk about. Okay.
Everything you guys do, and Jan, everything you guys do is stellar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
We appreciate
So-
that.
Laura, you can't see it.
was hard.
You can't see the comments, but people are really enjoying you for coming along and really had a good time. And we will be doing it again. So with that, I think thank you, mods. Thank you for people, all of our supporters. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Oh, we never got to see Philip's shirt. I was wondering what all that was about.
Oh, my Ouroboros shirt.
Isn't that fabulous?
I could only see the top part but now I can't see.
Yeah.
Zoom is messed up.
Oh, well, you did fabulous, even if you couldn't see it. The camera angle, the lighting was all good. Okay.
Good.
Everybody happy? Everything is good. Go, and if you didn't read the Omaha story, please do, because I can't push that one enough. It was awesome. Great discussion. Thank you, everybody, for being on. Thank you for coming. We will see you next time. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Everybody.